Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good, James. It's March, and we are full of madness.
It is March Madness time, and we are, I'm going to say we, it's me, and you can hear Bailey live on TikTok for the first time ever. But the full show, as normal, is live on Facebook and YouTube. The madness has arrived, as Bailey said. We're going to talk some ACC tourney. We might talk a little bit about getting locked out of your locker room. We're definitely going to talk about the NCAA brackets. And you know what? It's time to talk some college football parking, because that's what we do. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Greenville Sports Media Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, Greenville Sports Media is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts, the latest articles, and other sports media at greenvillesportsmedia.com. Those guys can also be found on all forms of social media, just like the Fun Fans. The Fun Fans podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
And the official food, sports, spirits, and catering location for the Fun Fans podcast is Reuben's. The best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Reuben's is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans.
That's right. All right, so here we go. The news is out. The brackets are out. And the Clemson Tiger basketball team sits at what seed, Bailey?
They're number 5 seed in the Midwest bracket.
So we're going to kick off the tournament in Rhode Island. That's some nice weather up there probably this time of year.
Providence, Rhode Island, Thursday.
Thursday against McNeese.
McNeese State, coached by Will Wade, former Clemson University manager and grad
former
assistant.
Tiger.
So he is a Clemson graduate, which is odd, and he's also a candidate for the North Carolina State head coaching job. So maybe they have all that stuff to deal with and they won't show up. But they rolled through their conference like 19-1 this year. So it's a tough out. But you know what? Tigers are for real.
Tigers are for real. I know Valvano used to always say, beware the state that's not a state. But hopefully Clemson can take care of their business. And our brackets, we are doing another competition this year. So find the link, fill out a bracket with the Fun Fans pool, and you can win a $25 gift card to Reuben's, the winner of the bracket. So just a real quick, short discussion is this team. So last year we made it to the Elite 8. How do you think this team compares? And with the field that they have to get there, we're going to be able to match that. Will it be, you know how fans are, might get disappointed if we don't win at least a couple of games. What do you think the prediction is going to be, Bailey?
Well, I'm going to tell you that now there are these things called expectations that have been placed on Clemson. Clemson is I think when Clemson shoots the ball well, we're better or as good as last year's team. All right. Now, with that said, Dylan Hunter broke his hand at the game last Thursday, and that was a huge loss. And honestly, we're going to talk about the game in a minute, but I think this team is, if I look at the bracket, I think they have a legitimate chance to play in the second weekend, and that would be a Sweet 16, most likely matchup with Houston, who's really good. But it's at that point, it's icing on the cake.
Well, did you see the picture I sent you just before the show where, some would call him an expert? Clark Kellogg himself has Clemson going to the national championship game.
Well, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean,
crazier things have happened.
It's just they have got to play better than they did against Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
And it just depends on the matchups. Louisville is not a good matchup for Clemson.
No,
and
not at all.
It depends on the matchup.
Well, what a perfect segue. Bailey, you're getting pretty good at this broadcasting thing. Speaking of the matchup against Louisville, our own Fun Fans co-host Bailey Jackson was in attendance for. Did you go to both games or just the first game?
No, I went to the SMU game, which I think it tipped off at 9:35 p.m., which was a challenge, but
that's about 30 minutes before the other one tipped off.
My son and I went, and we had a big time. Great seats, like right on mid-court, like first row of the upper deck. So I bought those for $8 a piece. And
that's
were
a pretty
great.
good fan experience.
Yeah, $8. We got home at 1:45, but that's okay. It was a school night, but we're tough. We can handle it.
That's right. All tough. So what stood out? You sent me some pictures. You wanna tell me what stood out and what you want me to pop up on the screen here?
Let me talk about the game real quick.
Okay.
SMU I don't know if they're in. I've been traveling all afternoon.
They are not in,
but they should have been in because they're really good. This whole idea that the ACC is terrible, it's just not. That's not the case. But anyway, pulled that one out, and we had a nice trip home, and then, but at the game, what I noticed was the mascots of the schools that were involved were not great, because the first game we saw when we were there was Louisville and Stanford. So it brings us to our discussion of the mascots in the ACC. So I want you to start with the slide of the worst mascots in the ACC.
All right. The Fun Fans Podcast, worst 3 ACC mascots are on the screen now. We're looking at.
Yeah, now let me back up.
What are we looking at?
I'm going to explain them here in a minute. Let me back up and say that at halftime of the game, which was it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10:30 p.m., they had this world-renowned Simon Says guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredible at running a Simon Says game, but they had a group of volunteers that provide food and stuff for people that need food and work at all these food banks, because this was sponsored by Food Line. And then the only thing worse than the Cal Bear mascot is the Food Line mascot. But then on the other side, all the mascots, so they all played Simon Says, and they eliminated them as they got out.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my son, I said, the Stanford tree, that's the most ridiculous mascot I've ever seen in my life.
It's kind of creepy looking.
Well, then at halftime, the Cal Bear came out, and that's even worse.
Oh.
And then the SMU pony it's weird looking.
Yeah,
but let me just back up. Oski the Bear was created in 1941 at the University of California. It literally is a dude in a Letterman sweater with some dad jeans on and a head. He's awful.
Nice.
The tree, you can see the person in the tree. You can see their face looking through that huge hole right above the eyes on the tree. And then Peruna, the Mustang, which is not a Mustang, it was designed after a Shetland pony. Okay, not a great mascot.
They got the horse wrong.
They were terrible.
Sorry.
Now,
sorry,
guys.
Let's
go to my favorites.
All right, the top 3.
Coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 3 is Miami Hurricanes mascot Sebastian, the
Pelican.
ibis. I think it's ibis or ibis. I don't know my birds.
Like when he does his beak.
It's a native bird to the East Coast of the United States. Even though their mascot's the Hurricanes, they have a bird. And
they're
cool.
one of those.
He's pretty cool. He used to wear the turnover chain.
Yeah.
My next favorite is the Demon Deacon. We all know how I feel about the Demon Deacon. I have a picture made with the Demon Deacon in Wake Forest. I think he's cool. He rides a motorcycle into the stadium.
Yeah.
That was created in 1923, which we've already talked about on this podcast, after they won against Duke, and the student writer said it was a devilish win for the Demon Deacons.
Demon Deacons.
And there it is. And then in 1954, this little guy named the Tiger came along to become the number 1 mascot in the ACC. And in 1993, while we were there, James, they introduced the Tiger Cub.
The Cub.
So there you have the top mascots and the worst mascots.
And we know which came first, the Tiger or the Cub. It was definitely the Tiger.
Absolutely.
So the games themselves, all right. So we pulled the victory out and not really shooting. So my synopsis real quick of both games in the ACC tournament, Clemson played well, but it had trouble getting that ball to actually go through the rim. It was just like one of those or two of those nights in a row where the scores just weren't happening as easily as they. And SMU, I thought their defense was way tougher, way tighter than Louisville, but the same thing was happening against Louisville, at least from what I saw.
Yeah. Well, Victor Lockett got in foul trouble. And honestly, they got some good shots. They didn't make them. Anytime you play a team this late in the year, every little thing matters. I thought Chase Hunter showed why he's Chase Hunter
Right.
at the end of both of those games.
Oh, I think Bailey froze up on us. You there?
Hammered when he was going to the rim.
Okay, so that's what all I heard was hammered when he got going to the rim. So that's what everybody was talking about. Say that statement again.
Yeah, I mean, he got fouled. Now, and they, Clemson made a heck of a comeback, but they didn't play well enough for the first 35 minutes of that game.
Right.
And like I said, Louisville's a tough matchup. I mean, just clearly it is. And it's sometimes it's about those individual matchups. And then again, Dylan Hunter is a huge piece of Clemson. He's been starting the last 2/3 of the season. All right. And the bench did not play well, but we still had a chance to win. And I told my son, I said, that is what good teams do. They figure out a way to have a chance to win. And really, they should have been on the line. They didn't call it. Okay. You can't blame the officials. Then he got fouled on the 3-point attempt at the buzzer because they were trying to foul him on the floor to send him to the line for a 1-on-1, and he shot it, and he got fouled.
Yeah, and they still didn't call it.
Yeah, so that it is what it is. But they did not put themselves in a position to win that game.
Or they put themselves in a position to have to play desperation.
And they really played well when they played desperation, honestly.
Yeah.
And
so what about the halftime locker room thing? What's the deal with that? You heard anything other than they got locked out?
I've been in that situation before. It's not ideal. It should never happen in the ACC tournament. I mean, I remember one time I had a team play at which is now Spectrum Arena in Charlotte. And when we get there, they had promised us all this stuff. If we play here, we sell these tickets, we do this, you get this whole experience. And our locker room, honestly, was about the size of an oversized bathroom.
Right.
And I told the guy, I said, I don't want to dress in Miley Cyrus's dressing room. I want to dress in one of the team dressing rooms. Well, it's just those little things that throw you off your routine, they matter.
Definitely. And you know what you're trying to get at halftime? Some energy. And when you need some energy, go to w.gg, enter promo code FUNFANS for 10% off of your Jitterless energy drink. Okay, so
I could have used some of that at halftime the other night.
Yeah, they definitely needed something. So we're on to the ACC tournaments in the past. Lost to Louisville, they lost to Duke, whatever. We're on to the one that matters now. All right, so I want to say one more thing about Louisville. It's starting to get to be a rivalry feel with that school. I know that when football, we had Deshaun, they had Lamar. That was fun and tough and going at each other. Baseball, has gotten a little chippy. And it's interesting when baseball gets chippy with Louisville. And then now with basketball, it makes it a little fun, and hopefully the players can use that to.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to get chippy is when Clemson football plays there next year on a Friday night. Because high school football in Kentucky is not really well attended.
No. All right. Well, speaking of segue into baseball, the baseball team is rolling. Mm-hmm. They took the series this weekend, their first ACC, first conference matchup this season, beat Notre Dame, took the series against Notre Dame, winning the Friday and Saturday. Those guys are number 4 in the country. They're like 19-2 or something. And I mean, it's super, super early, but they definitely look like a team that's on their way to Omaha. Fun to watch for sure. Have you been able to watch any baseball?
A little bit. This is like, some places have rainy seasons. As an athletic director, I have a busy season, and we are currently right in the middle of it.
You're right in the middle of it. So anyway, I want to point one thing out though. If you like the baseball, it's hard to get to. A lot of the, like even Friday's game was at 4:00.
Right.
So it's hard to get to those games. Sometimes they play a midweek game. I think all of our games are broadcast, but you have to have the ESPN app.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get that app, most people have smart TVs nowadays, or you can watch it on your computer. It's a good broadcast. It's not like some cheesy somebody in the stands with their flip phone kind of deal. And I don't know. I know I don't pay for ESPN Plus or whatever it is. I think it's bundled in with something else I have. But if it costs money, I don't know how much it costs. But if you're looking to watch those games from the fan experience, it's a good broadcast. Clemson gymnastics pulled off a big upset against Penn State. Did you know Penn State was like a big-time gymnastics school?
I have to admit, I did not know that.
Yeah, me either. Okay, but we're proud of the Lady Tigers for doing that. And on to our favorite. The football spring game is like 3 weeks away. Speaking of broadcast, they've announced that it will not be broadcast, which is kind of going backwards.
That's the trend.
What is to take it off the TV, and then that has to do with they don't want folks recruiting their players.
Yeah, it has to do everything with kids getting in the transfer portal. I'm out there watching a kid, and I go, "Oh, I'd like to have him," and the next thing I know, I tamper.
Yeah, tamper. No tampering. Stop the tampering. All right, but that is a great game to attend. All right, fans. That is, you go over there. It's free attendance, free entry. The parking is like wherever you want to go. I know, we've done some things with Wayne Buckingham. That group gets together and puts together a big tailgate. So there'll be some old Clemson folks and old Clemson not old, former, because they're about our age. Right. Clemson athletes at that tailgate. So find his stuff on social media at WAB Sports. But that was there, and the parking came out. So this is very important. The parking for the tailgate. So, a potential moment of silence for the fun fans, guys. The Bailey and I are looking at potentially losing our spot on Centennial Extension. So I need some sad music, some very sad music. But like Bailey said before, no matter where we land, what's going to happen?
There's going to be some fun fans.
There's going to be fun to be had. Right. And they sent something out, and people wonder why this happens. So there is an actual list of how many spaces they've lost, and they're losing some pretty good, close to the stadium reserve spot type spaces. Centennial Boulevard, which is on the Little John Coliseum side of Death Valley from us, they've lost some spaces. Lot 2A, which is in the shadows of the visitors right under the stadium, is Lot 2, and Lot 2A is that little bit of a gully thing was right near it. That whole lot's gone. They're putting in a new chiller or something.
Right.
And then there's other spaces here and there that are really good close spaces. So it's kind of backing up some folks. So, I mean, lot C1, I believe, is an IPTAY lot, which is the commuter space all the way on the opposite side of campus. So it's getting there, and it's something else. So
you make that walk a couple times, you'll be up in your membership level.
I know, that's right.
Good gracious.
For sure. And, Bailey and I talked about, if we land in the middle of campus this year, that might not be such a bad thing, since both of us have our youngest will be students on campus. So that could be pretty cool. Another thing, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time this has happened. So we've got the seat equity. The seat equity has been a thing for a while. So you have to make a certain donation per ticket to get certain seats, and the more you donate, the better your seats are, just like the parking.
Right.
But this year, all of the upper deck tickets are $500 for a season ticket, and the lower deck tickets are $600. So I think this is the first time they've actually been any different at all, which, once again, that makes sense as well for the ticket prices. So I want to put this out there to the fans. As much as I love a cheap ticket, and as many times as I would, try to get people to sell me their ticket when I needed one for, $20 or $40 or something. If you're making a donation to IPTAY to get even an upper deck ticket, it puts the average price of 7 home games to over $100 a piece when you put the seat equity and the price of the ticket on there. So folks, don't get too upset when people are asking. You might get one for $75 or $80, but if they're asking $100 for it, they're not trying to, and they're still losing money on their ticket. So
yeah, they're just trying to recoup what they have in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's expensive, and that's unfortunate in a lot of ways, but that's just it. And it's going to be fun either way. And we know a lot of people, thousands of people, go over there just for the tailgating part, which is the best. All right. So speaking of spring, once again, we're continuing to come to you every other Sunday. So the next time we will have a show will be Sweet 16 weekend, right? So not this coming weekend, but the following.
Unless we have to have some kind of emergency show.
If we have to have an emergency show, we can definitely do that. And
we might have to have. If they're making it to the next weekend, we might need to do one before they make it, before they start playing.
If that's the thing, if we skip next weekend, we might not skip the one after that for sure. So we're playing it by ear. So just keep your eye on our social media. I don't know how this thing's working out on TikTok. If you can hear Bailey at all, maybe we'll get some feedback and do better next time. But definitely go find the link, fill out your bracket within the Fun Fans pool. Everybody's going to fill out a bracket with all your friends and all your groups and all your coworkers. But definitely fill out the one with the Fun Fans podcast, because the winner gets a $25 gift card to Rubens. There are 2 locations in the upstate, so you definitely
1083 Baseball Road in Greer, 1102 Anderson Road in Piedmont, South Carolina.
That's it. And $25 will buy. It's not one of them to get you in there and not feed you. You can eat definitely for $25, at least one person. And we are looking for 2 more sponsors, just 2. So we're only taking 2. So if you or someone who wants some exposure and support sharing their social media, but does not want to spend an arm and a leg, have them reach out to us. Bailey, you got anything else for the show this evening?
No, go Tigers. Super proud of the Tigers this year. Great season. And cannot wait till the NCAA tournament starts this week.
It's going to – do you know – okay, one more thing. This is not a Fun Fan moment. Do you know the whole thing tips off noon Thursday, right? Not counting the little pigtail.
They have the play-in games.
Yeah,
so yes, noon Thursday.
Noon Thursday. Guess where I will be, or at least where I'm currently slated to be noon Thursday?
I do not know.
Jury duty.
Cancel.
You're
sick.
You're welcome, Spartanburg County.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't. Speaking of the play-in games, we didn't even talk about the Tar Heels. They got to play.
Yeah, they got in.
Yeah, and they're playing in.
Yep. Well,
over
which
SMU.
Which is uncharted territory for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, that is. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed the show. We definitely know everyone's going to enjoy March Madness. Enter our bracket pool, and we will be back in a week or 2. Thanks again for checking us out. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media, and please share, reach out to become a sponsor on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast. J Thriller Entertainment and Greenville Sports Media and Bailey Jackson.
We out.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.